Alright, here we go. Big pile of stuff next to me. Put this link somewhere. It's not far enough to see. Started a little hastily. There we go. Yeah, let me share this link. Let's see here. Just forwarding things. Why is that loading? Is the stream not working? Says the internet's working. CPU, everything's up. YouTube trying to trick me again. That's weird. Oh. Hadn't adjusted that yet. Oh. Solves the problem. I'm still frozen on this screen over here. Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's working now. So, I don't know why I'm confused on this. All right, let's get this thing started. So this is just going to be a random, just like opening scripture and just going. This is opening past pictures, notes, printed information. It's just raw data. Called it Vaulta, as a play on word of Volta and vault. So those are the two things involved with this episode. So let's just get on with whatever's on top, except for this, because these are all the different episodes in the future, because I have the line of Cain, plus other things. I have etymologies for the word Satan, and the different words in Hebrew used for sin, and how they all just mean to miss a mark, like if you're shooting an arrow. I have Abraham, Isaac, Israel, plus all etymology, table of nations, Japheth, Ham, Egypt, Canaan, Shem, Joktan. That's literally where small people come from. I don't know what YouTube wants me to call them. I don't know what they call themselves. But they're not all that. I'm just saying I think that's where they actually come from, is a tribe of Joktan. Because Joktan means he will be small. And it's supposed to be the Yod, which is a clenched fist. And I just watched the Austin Powers movies because I realized that the first one is International Man of Mystery. And that's a man of mystery. That's the mystery religions. Being inducted into the mysteries. That's Joktanism. taking something known, something you know is true that works a certain way, and maybe you think it, the reason you think it works is a flawed thinking, or how you're using it. I don't know. But this is the Bible one. I don't know what's I'll go I'll have to go through it in the order I did when I took this out, which is the pictures. I like images of stuff. So I have different sketches I made so that I could make charts. So I might make some more charts. I got a human body, or like an atom type sketch. So yeah, I can put that as a model for anything I want to. But there is some weird stuff in here. Oh, that's so weird. Because the first thing on the top was Joktan and all his sons. It says he will be small. And it's Peleg's brother. Peleg means division. Because he stood up to say what was true. And that causes a division in Shemites. But a small amount, not a big amount, a small amount broke off. And if you look at their names, there's one that means like the exalted snake charmer. I don't know which one it was. I gotta look at the. That's for another day. But his name, part of it, where it gets the snake part from, sounds like the words they use for India, Hindu, Shindu. Um, that's why it's the Rosh and the Shin and the Ta, because the Shin is literally India, because they're Shindu, Hindu, or Sindhu, sorry. It's Sin and Shin. They're the sin part, not the sin as in doing wrong, sin as in the Hebrew letter of the alphabet sin. That's India. Shin is Japan and the Asiatic in the north, and then there's like some mixing with ham. So um, that's why the Belt on Road Initiative thing that they want to do, and why they already conquered Afghanistan. They just want everybody to think they didn't. That the Taliban won. The Taliban were making deals with Trump before Biden was president, if anybody remembers that. So he basically made the deal with them for the Belt and Road Initiative, where Russia, China, Rosh, Shin, and Sin, Russia, China, Japan, and it's actually Russia, Japan, and India. That's where you have Hong Kong. You have a whole power arc. They're always talking about the China Sea or whatever sea they're always debating about over there. It's all about people's ideologies, what they think. Looks kind of like the first dimension reaching up all the way through to the fifth. This one's interesting. I wanted to show some of them, because some of them are templates too. I have a rose burning amidst a forest. We just talked about pen facing the forest. Can't see the forest but the trees. I got some sketches that I used to make some paintings. Got some orchids. I like these because it's representing all 5 dimensions. The bottom 2 petals are the first and second dimension, and both of them tip to tip make a line that's 2-dimensional. And that's what they're representing. That's why they're even shaped that way. They're like legs. And then you got arms and a head, but that represents 5 dimensions. The middle is amalgamation. That's why it's usually part of the stem. It's green. It's sometimes different colors, but it's usually between yellow and green. those colors, because those are, if you look at the light spectrum, that's what the manifested light is. And then it's got the fourth dimension as the two sides, it's the arms. This is what that whole Da Vinci thing's all about. The whole Da Vinci Code thing with the stupid sketch with the naked guy with the arms. Yeah, this is what an orchid does, the same thing. It's not a mystery. Da Vinci is just a Yoctonite. You understand? Joctonite, sorry. You have to pronounce the J harder. Ironically enough. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I'm not gonna name exactly, but that's why I'm gonna say Joctonites from now on. If that gets messed with, then that doesn't make sense, because Joktan is somebody in the Bible, and he had sons. And I can say that I believe somebody was part of them, because the language itself tells you they were cast out, and they believed that they can use the power to do good, but then not do good, and then not show people how they did it, so that they can. It's a concentration of power. Is it starting to rain again? Sometimes I can hear things on my headphones from the mic that people listening can't hear, unless they probably like turn their volume way high. But it's funny that if you look at the inside of an orchid too, it's both the male and female reproductive stuff. That's what it represents. And it also, together, the way it's formulated, it looks like a child being birthed. You can't make this up. You can go look up an orchid. This is a pretty good template for it. And then the top petal shows that the fifth is right at the tip of that crown. It crowns the shape of these flowers. The reason why they even do that, the one right here, I should try to take it up from the bottom. Show that picture again, because there's an orchid in the actual perception. You see the orchid? There's an orchid in there. The perception chart I showed. Isn't that interesting? And that was, I drew all that and found this stuff again a week later after not looking at it for at least like half a year to a few years. Can't remember the last time I actually looked at this stuff. I don't know what it is. All right. That's why I like orchids. There's a song by that band Black Sabbath, Orchid. That's a pretty good. It's just a classical guitar tune, like the song D. It's supposed to be about his mother, but I bet you they liked using it because you can occultically refer to John Dee, the alchemist. You can look up the lyrics for Iron Maiden. I think it's Alchemy or Strange Alchemy or something. The lyrics tell you about John Dee. Not John D. Rockefeller. The guy he was probably named after. Oh, he's named after this guy. He's like, no, he's named after John Dee, the occultist. And then he had a son and grandson. Okay. It's just weird pictures. I like this one. Look at this. You got a scythe with a blood moon, a harvest of big old fat grapes. There's like some wheat or something. It's like a matrix stuff, and then like all this battle gear pointing at midnight. This was April 28th, 2019. Oh, this was a 5-year ago one too. Ooh. It's interesting. There's a lot of 5 year ago things I did. There's even one thing that I can't talk about till after a part of it happens, because it seems like there's a part of it that has to happen, and I gotta wait till a certain date. And I don't really know how much I can say about it. Well, look at this. I painted this with different details. So there's a little piano and stuff. So I can reuse that if I wanted to paint it somewhere. There's just nothing wrong with that. I got this one, which you know what, I should do that, because I shouldn't depict that. I always get weird when I depict stuff like that. Check this out. When was this? This was supposed to have a date on it, but it had to have been around the same time, if not years ago, because I haven't drawn in years. So basically, the sword of the word on the horse, the white horse, and it's shooting a fleeing like ram horned thing. And then you got, don't show that too far. Okay, there's some like Nazi thing, but it's got the oil, the red, blue, and yellow. For some reason in Revelation, there's a giant army. It's red, blue, and yellow. Could be red, white, and blue. Of brimstone. It's either brimstone or what's the other one? That's yellow, sulfur. There's a debate on it. So it's either red, white, and blue. You can see why there's a debate on it. It's either red, white, or white and blue, or it's red, blue, and yellow. Now, red, blue, and yellow is big oil. You see that everywhere. Just look it up. Especially when it started. The older you look back, the more they used it, but they always use it. And they use that in movies to stand for that kind of stuff. And red, white, and blue is pretty obvious. That's why it's like you got Russia as red, white, and blue, France, US. They're just Britain. They're all telling you their allegiances. They're not just making nice little flags. It's an interesting picture, though. I made a near eclipse thing over a Manhattan-ish type city. There's no mountain outside Manhattan like that, though. A little thing. It's a nice perspective drawing. I like using that. This one was one that was very interesting to me because it uses all the colors that I've been speaking of. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. I'll try to conceal branding here. That's pretty good. All right. I should have just scanned these in the computer scanner and then put them up here. But you can see, why is the red and orange on the bottom for the first and second dimension? I drew this. There's no date on it, but when I started drawing perspective drawings, that was at least 5 years ago. Could be 7. So because a lot of the other ones are dated 5 years, that's probably what it is. I gotta do some black in there. Look at this stuff. Look at how it's shaped. It's got like little rods, like copper tubes or something. And look at that. Look at the eye. The eye is seeing it all. Look at how the purple, the highest one, the 5th dimension, is like a wave thing that's going. Looks like it's both going out and into the eye. There's a stairway made out of the priesthood colors. There's like a weird a four-dimensional diamond thing that's green. It's like an amalgamation. Looks like there's two of them and half that can represent the procreation I've been talking about so much. But also it's like purple and look, I don't even know. And then look at the fourth dimension. This is even how the fourth dimension would be perceived. That's why they can't shoot the rockets where they think. Look at this shape that it's making. Because if you try to go through upwards, or what you perceive as upwards, there's no up and down. There's only outwards. There's only without and within. Well, actually, there's only without. Within is always a negative thing. There is nothing within. You don't look within. You look without, or else you are without. Do you understand? That's how it works. That's where these words came from. That's why we use them. The color on this is... I gotta scan this and post it or something just so you can see the color better. Because the color is really interesting on this template for fish I painted. Fighting fish. This is probably like 15 years old. And I think I might have drawn my future home that I'm not even living in right now. Like 15 years ago. Because that looks like... I ain't gonna say where I'm going. That looks kind of like where I'm going. That's like 15... That's like 10 years old. That's 20 years... That's like a 20-year-old photograph. If you desire it, you'll get it. Prayer is desiring something. How much you pray, it's how much you desire something. The less you pray, the more that should mean things are going very good. You should still pray at least once a day when things are going great. Because it can always change in literally a fraction of a second. It doesn't even have to obey time. It can be dimensional to where it's not even a fraction of a second. It's instantaneous that your day just totally different. It's happened before a million times. It's called a car crash. I got this cool folder here. Look at that. This is a classic. I mean, it's not 100% there, but man, this is that. When you look up that chart and they're like, it's the conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you look at this chart, these things exist. You can look them all up individually. They're on Wikipedia. If Wikipedia is the mainstream thing, and you look them up on Wikipedia and it says exactly what they do, it's just, I guess, a perspective of whether you think their intentions are good or not. And they'll just tell you what they're doing, though. They just think their intentions are good. So these people are like, the media is hiding everything. It's like, no, that's your excuse because you're too lazy to look it up. Because it's there, it's everywhere. The media tells you enough to figure something out too. Oh, I left the water pump on. So if you hear like a sudden water pump noise, that's what it is. Okay, so I just have all these names that I'm going to be... So this is what I started off with, basically. So this is probably like 5 to 7 years old also. It was this burst of all this stuff. So I got maps, I got all the names of the people before and after the flood, what their names mean. I got a little sun and moon thing because I used to have stuff I hung up somewhere. It's over there. If I do a part 2, then I'll bring it over here. The maps that I have like cutouts of basically the different nations, and I can put them on a wall how I want. Whatever projection I want, I can put them on the wall. That's what I like about it. I can just tape them up real easy. Not this one yet. Which one's this one? I want to see which one I'll go first on. Ooh, maybe these. This is the biblical one. I should do this one in the Bible. Should be a separate thing. This vault's too big. This is too much. So I have great conjunction intervals, and then oh, that's wild. So I got like great conjunction intervals where Saturn and Jupiter are in a certain alignment. And there's one like, so these are dates when conjunctions happened. Or are they? Oh, never mind. It's things that were near conjunctions also. So it gives their year. So 1780 was a conjunction. A great conjunction. Is that what it is? Oh, just look at this. Like, just the last 15, like 2001 to 2015. So the last time this was updated was 2020. So this is 2020. So when it says present, that means 2020. It's 2024 now, though. So 2001 to present, that means 2020. Invasion of Afghanistan. So that was like, what, 2021, 22, it supposedly ended. 2003 to 2011, invasion of Iraq. 2004 to present, which is 2020, or 2020 here. The war in northwest Pakistan. United States versus Pakistan melee drone attacks. 2007 to present, which here is 2020. Somalia and northeastern Kenya, United States and coalition forces versus Al-Shabaab militants. People forget all this stuff's going on. That's why I put it in folders, to remind myself. 2009 to 2016, Operation Ocean Shield, Indian Ocean, NATO allies versus Somali pirates. Whatever that. I mean, Somali pirates exist. 2011, invasion of Libya, U.S. and NATO allies versus Libya. That's the one where you get, we saw, he died with Hillary Clinton and she laughed. That infamous quote. 2011 to 2017, Lord's Resistance Army. Okay. U.S. and allies against the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda. What? Uganda? Be kidding me. There's a horrible, horrible comedian that made something, and I never wanted to watch it because she just looked really annoying. And I think I heard her voice once or something. That is weird. I need to do, whoever's listening to this and myself, I'm going to do a lot more research into this. Because remember, Rwanda happened. So if anything happens in Africa, you should be taking a really close look at it. Apparently. Or you might just miss like 1 million people murdered for no reason. Lord. So, wow. That just tells you something, because 2011, 2017, that was like Obama and then the beginning of Trump. So it's interesting that just by words alone, even if they try to make it sound good, U.S. and allies against the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda. It's so weird foreshadowing. And Uganda is probably contemplation, gone to drag away, and adore. Anyway, 2014 to 2017, U.S.-led intervention in Iraq. U.S. and coalition forces against the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, which is really just Egyptian deity of light, and it's female. And she demands sacrifices. It's probably fire. Whenever it's light, but they have a bunch of like sharp points on their symbols, it's fire. It's fire. It's not anything to do with heavenly light. Okay. Oh, I gotta find this other picture. There's a Project Babylon or something like that. I don't have it in my phone. Never mind. If I do a second part, I'll probably do a second part. I'll pull that out. Okay. 2014 to present, which year is 2020 again. U.S. led intervention in Syria. U.S. and coalition forces against Al Qaeda, ISIS, and Syria. That's interesting. So remember, for some reason, they just like to start wars in the most Semitic places in the world, and if you question that in that way, they call you anti-Semitic. How does that make any sense? I don't want anybody to be harmed. Okay. 2015 to present, which again, let me remind you, 2020 in this context is present in this paper, this information. Yemeni Civil War. Who usually causes civil war? I just mentioned Rwanda, and if you watch the movie about it, I mean, it's from the people who are there, and not every movie is fake. Some movies are people who, like, not everybody in Hollywood is going to be heartless towards indiscriminate slaughter like that. The most horrible people would make a movie about that and say it's wrong. Like, this was wrong, I'm going to make a movie about it. People try to think like everything's evil. It gets exhausting just to listen to them. Yemeni Civil War, Saudi-led coalition. Oh, this is interesting. So, like, right before Trump comes in, now there's Saudi-led things happening regarding the U.S. And I think I made a comment. I used to make a comment a long time ago that it's interesting how Obama started doing a lot of things for Saudi Arabia after he got that golden necklace from them, that ceremony or whatever it is. And Trump got the same thing and he sword danced with him. I don't know if he crossed any, but Saudi-led coalition in U.S., France, and Kingdom. France and Kingdom. What the heck is Kingdom? Kingdom of what? Against the Houthi rebels. Huh. Houthi. How would I Hebraize that? Houthi. Ta. There's a ta at the end. That's a mark. Oh. Ha. There's a number of ways of. I don't know if there's any bad ways, but there's a number of good ways of Hebraizing that name. Supreme Political Council in Yemen and allies. So they're against Houthi rebels, Supreme Political Council in Yemen, and allies. They were trying to kick out a certain people who claim to be a certain people. They're dudes playing a dude disguised as another dude called Joctonites. They try to kick some Joctonites out of Yemen, and apparently the U.S., Saudi Arabia, which are Turkish Joctonites, House of Saud. That's why it's like Sodom and Gomorrah. Sud is a hunt. The house of the hunter, the hooker. Literally the one who hooks. Sorry, I didn't make that clear first. I mean, there's something like that spoken of in Revelation. Scarlet, isn't it? People marvel at it. Neom Saudi Arabia, people are going to marvel at Neom. People are going to marvel at the line. People already marvel at their towers, their giant spears, their giant horns, in an attack formation shape, a geometric attack on the heavens. You need to understand what ancient alchemists believe about pentagrams to understand what that means. It's the two horns. There's probably a horn somewhere else that's supposed to connect to it in a symbolic way, and you could probably connect them geologically. Okay. Saudi-led coalition. It's very interesting. U.S., France, and Kingdom. Maybe as United Kingdom, and I accidentally cut something off and it didn't paste it. But that's very interesting. France, because they're the Malachite of the Vatican. So the Egyptians had the Malachites, which in Hebrew means lapdog, but then it sounds like Melech, which sounds like Malek or Melech. That's messenger, the first one. The second one, Melech, is king or Malek or something like that. That's why Moloch is supposed to be a distortion of king. It means their king. But also, I think I connected it with something else that I can't remember. So the Amalekites were the lapdogs of the messengers of Egypt. The Hittites, Heth, they were the ones who fence in and destroy. They were the terror and the dread. So the messengers cause panic and fear through lies or whatever, however, or the truth. Sometimes the truth causes panic and fear. So Egypt is Mars, Aries. That's why the Greek Aries, because they passed the torch from Egypt to Rome through Greek blood shed in battle. And then in the same way, wow, the Vatican, Rome, which is Egypt, son of Egypt, son of Pharaoh, moved and did the same thing with the Germans in order to become the English crown. So then then England started this company called the United States of America, and they gave it the same flag as their previous version of it, the East India Trading Company. Can't make this up. You can look it up. So wow. So that's the two moons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos. Deimos is terror and dread. Why it sounds like demos, the people, because when the masses, the demos, Democrat, rules, when the people's, the masses' voice rules, you have terror and dread. They believe anything they hear. There's anarchy, and they are fenced in and destroyed by Heth. You just watch any nature documentary and you'll see this concept of life constantly. It happens every day. Things are chasing things and ripping them to shreds. Plants are growing and animals are grazing them and causing fertility by grazing them. And all of them are moved along by a spirit so that negative things can overtake something for a reason and positive things can overtake an area for a reason. To understand and see that is something so beautiful, I can't imagine being angry or unhappy. But then it's funny because it gives you almost a monotone, like blank personality most of the time unless something is making you happy or feel some kind of emotion, because you're just very calm. So you just seem like you're bored or out of it or tired or something. It's like, no, I'm just very calm, very content with everything. Fear comes from not understanding things. I don't fear anything because I understand things enough. The more I understand it, the less I fear. You fear the dark because you can't see something. So you don't understand what's out there. It makes you fear. I understand what's out there when it's dark. My Elohim is out there when it's dark. The darkness is what he uses. He uses it as a thing. Okay. Yemen. 2015 to whenever, because I don't know when these things, if these things ended yet, but as of 2020, it says present, because the date on this is 2020. U.S. intervention in Libya again. Well, maybe this is the one with the Gaddafi quote. U.S. and Libya. Oh no, never mind. U.S. and Libya against ISIS. You know, she's supposed to be fertility and the goddess of light. Then they could even be telling you that they're trying to snuff out fertility and snuff out light, which is usually children. So take that what you want. All right, great. Yeah, I got great conjunction things in here that are really interesting, but that's too astrology sounding. So that's just for me to look at and go, that's very interesting. I don't really want to spread it to anybody because it doesn't seem like it's helpful. But I might be wrong, so people can find it if God really wants them to. Oh yeah, I forgot I did a. I might show this on something else because I always show people this, but they're parody lyrics. If you look up all the different lore data of the planet Naboo in Star Wars, is pretty interesting. I got that printed out for some reason. I got the Ultimate Muscle Kiniko Man legend because it's just a weird show. It's one of those manga things that turned in. It's like Naruto style type thing, but it was pretty funny. Oh, I'm taking this one. Definitely doing this one. I should do a whole episode on it, but I'm tired of like this stuff is so uh prevalent in society. It's right in your face. I shouldn't have to take the time to like make a separate video about the alien thing with Israel and Trump that I covered in a past episode, but that's not here anymore. So, oh wow, then I have these quotes from Amos. I won't read that though; they're too intense. This one's too intense. Oh, I've already pulled it out. All right. 45-minute mark. Perfect to talk about Trump and aliens in Israel, right? Wow, I mean, funny. I would be drinking regular water, but I got bit by a recluse. So I'm just drinking almost purely water with stuff added to it. And I don't want to give free advertising because I don't know what these people stand for. So this is a article by Adela Suleiman and Paul Goldman. So would be either Aleph or Ayin. So I or fountain or teaching. Door to God. Ad. What is Ad again? There's Adma and Zeboyam. What is Ad? Well, it's either teaching, a door of teaching, or a door of fountain. To Elah, Elohim. So a doorway to Elohim, or a teaching, or a fountain, or your eyes, a doorway to Elohim. Then Suleiman, of course, is Solomon, peace. But let's just try in this pronunciation. Shu, that's like a prayer. Shaul, man. So a prayer like a testimony, or backwards, testimony like a prayer. So you could say, whose testimony or prayer. See how like you there's a general full, like you can say Stephen means victory or crown of victory or just a wreath of victory because the wreath is to surround. It's the corona, kara ana. But then you see how expansive it is? It's Stephanos, which means corona, and kara ana means all the things that have to do with Stephanos. Encirclement, because karar means to encircle. Ana means a testimony, but who makes a testimony? The poor and the humiliated. Ana has to do with humiliation and poverty, but there's a testimony. That's why it means as a name testimony, but then because it's related to those things, it's expansive. It's literally 5-dimensional or more. It's 5-dimensional. Yeah, the word is 5-dimensional. So when you have these words in the Hebrew, they just keep expanding from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 different levels to it. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's out of love, because remember, I said in a past stream, the Most High doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't need perspective. He doesn't need sound or light or anything. He creates it for your sake. So that means it's out of love. So all of this that I'm saying is out of love because I don't have to tell anybody. It materialistically, it wastes my time. But it's like being a parent because saying it is like giving birth. Paul said stuff like this where he said, I'm in the pains of childbirth until Messiah is fully formed in you. Because that's what I'm doing when I'm speaking. So even though materialistically it wastes my time and I don't really have to do it, procreation wise, that's higher and outer dimensions. Materialism is static in third or going to lower or inner dimensions. Why do you think this whole system tells you everything's within? All the answers are within. If we can just get stronger microscopes. I mean, they try to look out too, but to us, they emphasize the in because they don't want you to know the out. Paul, like this second editor or whoever it is in this article, Paul Goldman, the Apostle Paul, he said this. He said that I know that I have nothing good in me that is in my flesh. You understand? That's third dimension. So everything that you can get that's good comes from the fourth, fifth dimension, or it comes from the Most High, which is infinite-dimensional. So it says here, and I can take 10 minutes on this, I think. I'll be done with it, and I'll do a part 2. It's not that late yet. Aliens exist and Trump, I like to do quotes. Aliens exist and Trump almost let it slip, says Israeli professor and former space official. So this is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, 12:29 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Is when it was posted by Adela Suleiman and Paul Goldman. But for some reason, I don't have where they posted it. A former Israeli space security chief has sent eyebrows shooting heavenward by, I mean, when I'm doing this, like if I'm rolling my eyes, your eyebrows kind of go heavenward, so it's very ambiguous for them to say that. saying that Earthlings have been in contact with extraterrestrials from a galactic federation. I just mentioned the Kinnikuman thing, the Ultimate Muscle cartoon, that Japanese cartoon. Um, the whole Ultimate Muscle thing is like these monsters come from outer space. They want to dominate everybody. And then the heroes are part of this galactic federation that watches it all. And they treat it like a MMA thing. And these people wrestle each other. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting show. It was pretty funny and wacky. So it's wacky for children, but then adults can kind of enjoy it because the concept is very, very good and strong in it. It's very interesting because the hero is very cowardly, physically, but the thing that defines him is that he keeps going in there and doing it eventually. You know what I mean? And there's people who can act like they're all that and they're not cowardly, and then when it comes down to it, that they won't go no matter what. That's why Messiah gives the parable about the two sons. Which one obeyed the father? The one that was told to do it and he said, I'm not going to do it, and they did it later, or the one that said they'd do it and then didn't do it later? The unidentified flying objects is a quote by Chaim Eshed. Chaim is life, Eshed is fountain or bottom or lower part. Very interesting, isn't it? What show is that? Which show did I just say? Oh, I never pay attention to myself. Oh, Ultimate Muscle. It's Kinnikuman Legend. It's Kinnikuman in Japanese, but it's called Ultimate Muscle. It's pretty funny. And he has got a mark on his face, on his forehead, that shows up when he feels love. See, that's supposed to represent the mark of God, because it's not marked on you. It shows up when he is being reflected through you, who is God. He's love. See how the show, but he's wearing a mask too, and he's not supposed to take it out. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting show. And I like the English version's intro. You get like a saxophone and everything. It's a really cool song. It's really catchy. Let's see. So Chaim Eshed says is a former head of Israeli Defense Ministry Space Directorate. He told Israel's Yediot Aharonot newspaper. What? That sounds so strange. It's hard to find though. Like, you have to buy the DVDs or something. It was hard for me to try to find it somewhere. And I think I don't know how hard it is to find. It's probably I just haven't looked for it hard enough yet. I passively looked for it because I wasn't that interested, but it's a interesting show. But isn't that interesting how that sounds? This newspaper is called the Yediot Aharonot. That's Aeronaut. It's so weird. But he told them that the unidentified flying objects have asked not to publish that they are here, and humanity is not ready yet. And you can tell that if this is 2020, they've been putting a lot of this stuff out the last 4 years. Yeah, it's like anime. It started off as a manga, the Ultimate Muscle show, but the English dubbed one is funny. The Japanese one, if you're English, you're not gonna really like it. But the voices they give to the characters in the English dubbed one are really, really funny. It says a respected professor and a retired general, Eshed said the aliens were equally curious about humanity and were seeking to understand the fabric of the universe. See, there's different movies that depict this where fourth dimensional creatures, they're kind of like computers. They absorb data and they're supposed to process data and send it. Biblically. I can prove this biblically. You can read it, but there's not a lot of time. I got a few minutes left here. I'll start part 2. At 5 o'clock. Where some of them, they're just curious in general. So if you try to contact them, then the only thing that they're interested in is your perspective. They're curious about how you perceive things and why you make decisions. You're not supposed to be contacting them. They're just there to be there to proclaim something, because it says that the heavens are filled with things that are proclaiming the majesty of El Elyon, Most High, Elohim. Okay, fabric of the universe. They want to understand the fabric of the universe. They're not supposed to. But see, then people have to try to figure out who they're talking to. And a lot of the people who are trying to access these things aren't necessarily good people. And so they'll try to access through drugs or some other thing. So they won't really know what they're talking to, second or fourth dimensional. That's why they end up having weird, self-centered, profiting things. These billionaires and stuff. The billionaire is ridiculous. I would never be. I'd probably be like a lower millionaire. If I made enough to be called a billionaire, I'd invest so much money that I would only have millions left. Like, I wouldn't be able to have that much money. That couldn't be a thing for me. I have to just keep giving it away or investing it or starting. So I wear myself out doing that. Eshed said cooperation agreements had been signed between species, including an underground base in the depths of Mars, which is alive. Underground base in the depths of Mars. Who did I just say was Mars? If anybody knows anything about pyramids, they know that these things go deep into the earth. And certain people like to allegedly lay in the ancient coffins of these things overnight to prove something. Yeah, I would help many people if I had the money, but then that causes a lot of enemies because people make money off of people's oppression. So then if you start flooding all this stuff, then all these people are going to go against you, and it's like, it's explained in the Psalms because that happened to David. Someone that feels like we do was king of God's country. So it's like, for real, not the American dream. This was a Israelite reality thousands of years ago. It never died. It just was taken away and passed to different people who wanted it. So who's Mars? He said there's an underground base in the depths of Mars. He's right. Not the planet Mars, but either the fertile field of Mars, which is France, or the source of Mars, which is Egypt. I would think Egypt because they have the pyramids. That is wild. That's blowing my mind. That's why I like doing this live. You can tell it's live because I'm reading through this stuff live and coming to conclusions live. I couldn't imagine. Anyway. It says where there are American astronauts and alien representatives. Yeah, these people. See, this is the thing. Like, and whenever anybody talks about this, if they're a big name, these people will take nonsense wild goose chases and label somebody by that. If they talk about this, they'll never put it out there like, oh, this person believes that government officials, even though this really high up one in Israel which is closer to Mars, Egypt. It's like he's saying these things happen. I've spoken to people in NASA and SpaceX where they say very similar things. They just happen to be Satanists. It's like, that's weird, isn't it? Maybe they went deep into Mars. They say they've seen Mars. It's like, yeah, I'm sure you have. Cooperation agreements have been signed between species. So, in their own books, a lot of these people, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, Jack Parsons, they talked about what they did in the woods with drugs and other things. This is their own words. This isn't hidden stuff. The media doesn't hide it the way people often accuse. They just don't say it, or they'll say it once and for all and never mention it again, and nothing happens. But it's there. People are just too lazy, and then when they realize it's because they were lazy, they have this syndrome where it's like, no, it's not my fault. The media lied to me, or somebody lied to me. It's like, no, you're just lazy. Because this stuff has just been in front of our face for so long. So basically, some of these leaders will do these drugs, and they'll all hallucinate the same thing. And it's a creature, and it tells them stuff, and it's like, what's going on? And then this guy has to come out and say agreements have been made. And right after I said this stuff about Mars, I didn't even know I was going to read about this. I was just looking through randomly, so I can get through all this and just make good content. And that's so wild. They sign these things in the depths of a pyramid in Egypt. You can hear my blood pumping. Okay. Kydonia, Secret Chronicles of Mars by David Flynn. I think I heard of that before. Very deep in tech. One of those kind of books you have to read half a page several times. I think I know what you're talking about. I bet you there's, you know what? I bet you all those crazy people who have the books where they teleport to Mars and talk to the Martians, I bet you it's all just coded. They're not going to no planets. They're not actually teleporting. They're taking DMT or something like that. This is what happened. Look, this happened. I gotta make a part two. Just the part two will be the end of this, I guess. Um, this happened with the Inquisition and not just the Inquisition, but all kinds of different stuff where they caught these people and they said, I can show you how I'm going to go to the meeting of the witches. And they're like, you're going to show us? You're going to fly in a broom? And she's like, yeah. Well, I'm going to fly in this basket. They're like, okay. And she takes this jar of ointment out and puts it somewhere. I'm not going to say. And climbs in this basket and sits down and starts like, doing the weird demonic stuff. It starts to hallucinate. It's hallucinogenic. KY cream. And she goes to the meeting. And I think she went to the meeting. I mean, you read biblically how it describes our world, and then the testimonies of people who take these drugs, it's like, come on. Oh, he died of brain cancer. It might not be the one I'm thinking of. Maybe it's, yeah, but he probably uses metaphors and stuff. I'll look it up. Gotta write it somewhere. Aw, where did I put my notes? I'll write on the Jockton thing. Hopefully that's not foreboding. Let's see. David Flynn. David Flynn. I fly it. Alright. I know it's about Mars, so I'll just put the name down. Alright, I'm going to start another one up. I should just start another one up right away. I'm tired of waiting. It's actually kind of cool in here. I'll start one up and just have the air conditioner for a few minutes. I set it up. think that's what I'm going to do. All right, guys. I'll see you in, I don't know, 10 minutes. However fast I can do this. So let me put the music on.